My friends, have you ever wondered why some people seem to rise and fall so quickly? Why do great dreams get destroyed before they even begin? Many times it is because we speak too soon, share too much, and trust too easily. The Bible warns us about this. It teaches us that not everyone should have access to our hearts, our dreams, or our struggles. Today I want to share with you a truth that can protect your destiny. If you've been betrayed, hurt, or misunderstood, this message is for you. If you have ever wondered why some of your greatest plans never come to pass, listen carefully. There is a divine wisdom in secrecy. Stay with me. Because by the time this message is over, you will understand why God calls us to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves, Matthew 10:16. You will see why Jesus himself did not reveal everything to everyone, and you will learn how to walk in victory by keeping certain things between you and God alone. The book of Proverbs is full of wisdom about guarding our words. Proverbs 21:23 says, "Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity." In today's world, people rush to post everything on social media, to tell their dreams to the world, but not everything is meant to be shared. Silence can be a shield. When Joseph in the Old Testament told his brothers about his dreams, what happened? They became jealous, plotted against him, and sold him into slavery. Sometimes the enemy hears your plans and uses them against you. Some battles could be avoided if we simply learn to keep quiet. Even Jesus understood this principle. He did not always reveal who he was. In John 2:24-25, it says, "But Jesus would not entrust himself to them, for he knew all people. He did not need any testimony about mankind, for he knew what was in each person." Jesus did not need approval from people. He knew that not everyone had his best interests at heart. If he, being the Son of God, practiced wisdom in what he revealed, how much more should we? Proverbs 4:23 tells us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. When you speak too much about your struggles, your finances, or your relationships, you open the door for the enemy to attack. The devil cannot read your mind, but he can listen to what you say. Be careful what you expose to the world. Some people are only in your life to observe, not to support. The Bible warns us about this in Micah 7:05. "Do not trust a neighbor, put no confidence in a friend. Even with the woman who lies in your embrace, guard the words of your lips." A wise person does not announce every step they take. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, "There is a time to be silent and a time to speak." Let your actions show who you are, rather than always explaining yourself. Daniel in the Bible did not argue about his faith. He simply prayed. When the king's officials tried to destroy him, they could not find fault in him because he had walked in wisdom. If you remain faithful and move in silence, God will defend you. Finally, remember that the only one who truly understands you is God. You don't need to seek approval from people. You don't need to explain your journey to everyone. Isaiah 26:03 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. God sees your struggles, your victories, and your heart. He is your defender. When you keep your business between you and him, he will lead you in wisdom and protect your future. My dear friends, if you take nothing else from this message, remember this. Not everything needs to be spoken. Not everyone needs to know your plans. Silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. Speak to God more than you speak to people. Trust him more than you trust man. And watch as he protects, guides, and leads you into a destiny greater than you can imagine. May the Lord bless you and give you wisdom to walk in his divine purpose. Amen. The book of Proverbs is full of wisdom about guarding our words. Proverbs 21:23 says, "Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity." This is not just a casual warning. It is a spiritual principle that can save you from unnecessary battles, heartache, and even destruction. Think about it. How many times have people suffered, not because of their enemies, but because of their own words? In today's world, people rush to post everything on social media, to tell their dreams to the world, to share their struggles with anyone willing to listen. But the Bible warns us that not everything is meant to be spoken. Silence can be a shield. It can be the very thing that protects your destiny. Consider Joseph in the Old Testament. God gave him powerful dreams of greatness, showing him that he would one day be a ruler. But what did he do? He shared these dreams with his brothers who were already jealous of him. Instead of celebrating his vision, they turned against him. They plotted against him, threw him into a pit, and sold him into slavery. If Joseph had kept his dreams between himself and God, could he have avoided this suffering? Perhaps. But one thing is clear. His words gave his enemies the ammunition they needed to attack him. The enemy listens to what you say. The devil cannot read your mind, but he hears your words. When you speak carelessly about your plans, your struggles, or your blessings, you might be giving him a strategy to hinder your progress. Even Jesus told his disciples in Matthew 7:6, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." What does this mean? It means that there are things in your life that are too valuable to be shared with just anyone. Look at how Jesus handled his mission. Many times after performing miracles, he instructed people not to tell anyone. Why? Because he understood timing. He knew that revealing too much too soon could disrupt the plan of God. If the Son of God, in all his wisdom, exercised restraint in his words, how much more should we? There is power in silence. It gives you control over your own life. It keeps you from unnecessary battles. It allows God to work behind the scenes without interference. So before you speak, ask yourself, is this the right time? Is this the right person? Does this align with God's wisdom? If you learn to guard your words, you will protect your destiny. This is a lesson for us today. Many people speak openly about their lives, their dreams, and their struggles, assuming that everyone around them has good intentions. But Jesus shows us a different way. He teaches us that not every thought must be spoken, not every blessing must be shared, and not every struggle must be revealed. Even when Jesus healed people, he often told them to say nothing about it. In Mark 1:43-44, after healing a man with leprosy, Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. See that you don't tell this to anyone. Why did Jesus say this? Because he understood the importance of divine timing. If news of his miracle spread too quickly, opposition would rise before the appointed time. Jesus walked in wisdom, knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. There were also times when Jesus withdrew from the crowds to be alone with God. Luke 5:16 says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." This was his time of spiritual strengthening, his time to seek direction from the Father. He did not let public opinion dictate his actions. He did not let the expectations of the crowd pull him away from his purpose. We must follow his example. Not everyone should have access to our thoughts, our plans, or even our pain. Some things are meant to be shared only with God. Some victories should be celebrated in secret. Some struggles should be carried in quiet prayer. If Jesus, the all-knowing Son of God, chose to keep certain things hidden, how much more should we walk in discretion? Silence is not weakness. It is strength. It is the wisdom to know what to reveal and what to keep between you and God. When we learn to follow Christ's example, we will walk in divine protection, fulfilling God's purpose without unnecessary interference. The Bible gives us a clear command in Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. This is not just a piece of advice. It is a divine principle. Your heart is the source of your thoughts, actions, and decisions. If you do not guard it carefully, you can expose yourself to unnecessary pain, distractions, and even spiritual attacks. Many people fail in life not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they allow the wrong people to have access to their hearts. They open up too easily, trusting anyone who listens. But not everyone who hears your struggles cares about your well-being. Some only listen to gather information. Some will smile in front of you, but speak against you behind your back. Others will use your weaknesses to manipulate you. This is why the Bible warns us to be careful with whom we share our deepest thoughts and emotions. Samson, a man chosen by God, had supernatural strength, but his downfall came when he failed to guard his heart. He fell in love with Delilah, a woman who repeatedly tried to betray him. Despite her clear intentions, Samson kept revealing more and more of himself until, finally, he told her the secret of his strength. Judges 16:17 records his tragic words. "No razor has ever been used on my head, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." That one moment of openness led to his downfall. The enemy blinded him, bound him, and made him a slave. The enemy cannot destroy you unless you give him access. He does not always attack with force. Sometimes he comes with subtlety, sending the wrong people into your life to drain you emotionally, weaken your faith, or lead you into temptation. This is why Jesus tells us in Matthew 10:16, "Be as wise as serpent and as innocent as doves." A serpent moves with caution, never exposing itself too soon. You must do the same. Guarding your heart does not mean shutting people out completely. It means using wisdom in what you share and with whom. It means taking your greatest concerns to God in prayer before discussing them with others. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving present your requests to God." Instead of always seeking human advice, learn to seek God first. When you guard your heart, you protect your peace. You shield yourself from unnecessary burdens. You allow God to lead you without interference. Do not give everyone access to the deepest parts of your soul. Let God be your first and most trusted confidant. Not everyone who listens to you is for you. The Bible warns us about this repeatedly, showing us that even those closest to us can sometimes be the greatest source of betrayal. One of the most heartbreaking examples of this is Judas Iscariot. He was not just an outsider. He was one of the 12 disciples, one of Jesus' closest followers. Yet, for 30 pieces of silver, he betrayed the Son of God with a kiss. Judas walked with Jesus, heard his teachings, and witnessed his miracles, but his heart was never truly with Christ. He followed Jesus not out of love or devotion, but out of selfish ambition. In John 12:6, we learn that Judas was a thief who stole from the money bag. His loyalty was never real, and when the opportunity came, he sold Jesus to his enemies. Yet until the very end, Jesus never exposed him. He let Judas reveal his own heart. This teaches us an important lesson. Not everyone who stays close to you has good intentions. Some people are only around you to watch, to take advantage, or to gather information. They may appear kind, but in reality, they are waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. This is why Micah 7:05 warns us, "Do not trust a neighbor. Put no confidence in a friend. Even with the woman who lies in your embrace, guard the words of your lips." Many people experience deep wounds, not from their enemies, but from those they trusted the most. How many have shared their dreams with someone only to see that person sabotage their plans? How many have revealed personal struggles only to have them used against them later? This is why wisdom is necessary. Just because someone is near you does not mean they are for you. Jesus understood this principle. That is why in John 2:24-25, the Bible says, "But Jesus would not entrust himself to them, for he knew all people." He did not need any testimony about mankind, for he knew what was in each person. He knew the human heart. He did not share everything with everyone. He did not try to prove himself to people. Instead, he trusted in the Father. If you want to protect your destiny, be careful who you allow into your inner circle. Pray for discernment. Do not reveal everything to just anyone. Some people come into your life only to take what they can and leave. Others pretend to care but secretly compete with you. But if you seek God's wisdom, he will show you whom to trust and whom to keep at a distance. Do not be quick to open your heart. Some wounds can be avoided by simply keeping quiet. Not every friend is truly a friend, and not every listener is truly on your side. Guard your words, walk in wisdom, and let God be the one who reveals people's true intentions in his time. The Bible teaches us that there is power in our words, but it also warns us about the danger of speaking too much. Proverbs 10:19 says, "Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues." This means that the more we speak, the more likely we are to say something we will regret. Sometimes the best response. Look at Nehemiah, a man called by God to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. When God placed the vision in his heart, he did not immediately announce it to everyone. Nehemiah 2:12 says, "I set out during the night with a few others. I had not told anyone what my God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. He understood that speaking too soon could attract opposition. Before the work even began, he moved in silence, praying and planning until the right time came to reveal his mission. This is a lesson for us. When God places something in your heart, a dream, a vision, a goal, you do not need to announce it immediately. The enemy listens. People with wrong motives listen. And sometimes revealing too much too soon can bring unnecessary opposition. Some people will discourage you. Others will try to sabotage your progress. Joseph learned this the hard way. God gave him dreams of greatness, but when he shared them with his brothers, instead of celebrating him, they envied him. Genesis 37:5 says, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. His words gave them a reason to betray him. Even Jesus, the Son of God, understood the importance of timing. There were moments when he instructed those he healed to tell no one. He did not rush to prove himself. He did not feel the need to announce every miracle. He moved according to God's perfect plan. James 1:19 advises, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. If we follow this wisdom, we will walk in peace. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this the right time? Is this the right person? Not everything needs to be shared. Let God guide your words, and you will walk in divine protection. Silence is often the greatest protection God gives us. The world teaches us to speak, to announce, to defend ourselves, but the Bible shows us a different way. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, there is a time to be silent and a time to speak. Wisdom is knowing the difference. One of the most powerful examples of this is Jesus himself. When he was arrested and falsely accused, he did not try to explain himself. He did not argue with his accusers. Matthew 27:12-14 tells us, when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you? But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Jesus knew that some battles are not won with words, but with wisdom and silence. Too many people feel the need to defend themselves when criticized, to explain every decision, or to prove themselves to others. But Jesus shows us that sometimes the best response is no response at all. He was falsely accused, mocked, and misunderstood, yet he remained silent because he trusted in the Father's plan. This same principle applies to our lives. When people misunderstand you, when they gossip about you, when they question your calling, you do not need to fight every battle with words. Let God defend you. Exodus 14:14 declares, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Some people talk too much and invite unnecessary battles into their lives. They reveal their every thought, their every move, and even their weaknesses to people who do not truly care. But Proverbs 17:27-28 says, the one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongue. This means that silence is not only a sign of wisdom, but also a form of strength. If you want to live a life free from unnecessary struggles, learn the discipline of silence. Pray before you speak. Seek God's guidance before sharing your plans. Do not waste energy trying to explain yourself to those who will never understand. Let your actions speak for you. Let your success be your response. Let God be your defender. When you walk in silence and wisdom, God will elevate you in due time. You do not need to prove yourself. He will do it for you. Trust Him, guard your words, and walk in divine peace.